March of this year, comics fans across the world were either overjoyed or f***ing incensed when DC announced in Justice League number 50, the Joker's true identity will be revealed. It's on sale in May, and by the time this goes out you might already know, so don't spoil it in the comments, there's a good chap. Now whether this reveal is a good idea or a bad idea, it's certainly a blockbuster announcement. One of the greatest things about the Joker has been his total lack of backstory. It makes him more ethereal, unsettling. Alan Moore has provided a sketchy, unreliable telling in the lauded Killing Joke, and while the whole Red Hood falling into a vat of acid thing has pretty much become canon, no one knows his actual origins for sure. As the uncertainty comes to an end, let's look back at one of the greatest portrayals of Mr. J of all time and theorize about where he came from. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and here are 8 theories about the origin of Heath Ledger's Joker. Number 8, he's a former soldier. In The Dark Knight, Ledger gives 2 conflicting accounts of where he got his scars, and we'll get into those. But here's a theory that's seen great traction on the internet. In the film, the Joker says that if a truckload of soldiers will be blown up, nobody panics because it's all part of the plan. A throwaway example, or a clue to the Crown Prince's humble beginnings, as a soldier, blown up, injured by shrapnel, and suffering from PTSD. It makes sense. War makes life seem chaotic, random, and cruel, like the Joker, plus it explains his keen sense of strategy and his ability to rig up cheap explosives. Number 7, he's an Arkham escapee. The Dark Knight had one of the coolest marketing campaigns of all time, complete with scavenger hunt, hidden phones, and scores of auxiliary material. One of the tie-in releases was a book called The Dark Knight Manual, featuring police files from the Gotham City PD, some of which questioned where the Joker came from. One said he might be a soldier, and another put forward this theory that he was an escaped patient from Arkham, one of the men experimented on by Dr. Crane. After all, the trilogy has one long continuity with Scarecrow in all of them, and maybe the Joker was one of the, quotes, crazy to receive too great a dose of Crane's medicine. Number 6, he was an employee at Haley Brothers. The third option raised by the GCPD was that, just maybe, the Ace of Knaves was a former employee of the Haley Brothers Circus. Fans of the comics or of Batman Forever, though that is a more limited pool, will recognize Haley Brothers as a spiritual birthplace of Robin, aka Dick Grayson. The circus was home to the Flying Graysons. Dick's family and their murder by corrupt crime bosses set him on his course of vigilante justice. The theory states that not only would working at the circus give the Joker the whole make-up shtick, but also his connections in the criminal underworld. Considering that corruption was rife at Haley Brothers, maybe he would just be a lowly clown and witness something that he shouldn't have, so the mobsters gave him that Chelsea smile. Number 5, it's all about his father. So now we get into what the Joker says about himself, and there's one thing you can be sure of: you can't trust a man who laughs. The first theory, the one that he shares with Gamble, is that it's all about his father. Mr. Joker Sr. was a drunk who would abuse his family and laugh, eventually killing Joker Jr.'s mother in front of the young'un. Now this should be completely discredited by the fact that Joker makes up an entirely different tale later on in the film, if not for the fact that, later on in the movie, in front of a completely new set of people who didn't see the Gamble scene, he mentions his father and how much he hated him. Perhaps the dad theory has more weight than we thought. Number 4, it's all about his wife. The next contender is the second of the 2 explanations the Joker offers in the movie, this time to Rachel Dawes. It's the least well-advised chat-up line in the history of movies. The Joker regales Rachel with a tale of his lady love and how she was mutilated. To cheer up his wife, he cuts up his own face, and she can't stand the sight of me. Again, probably just another red herring, but it's interesting that even after getting his hands on Harvey, Joker still has his men kidnap Rachel, like he's obsessed with their love, like he finds the idea of that devotion something to be destroyed. Maybe the hang-ups from his wife leaving him are still fresh in his mind. Number 3, he didn't exist until Batman. Now this is really heavily hinted at the end of Batman Begins. Gordon talks about escalation and how the presence of the Batman could give rise to more people with a taste for the theatrical. This is the first time the Joker is mentioned. In the time it takes for the bat signal to be made, the Joker is at large. Now does this mean he's been around for years and has only just made himself known once he sees another freak in the papers, or does it perhaps tie into the old Red Hood theory from the comics? Perhaps one of his first cases after defeating Ra's al Ghul involves him accidentally knocking a criminal into a vat of acid at Ace Chemicals. Number 2, he doesn't know. Now this is always going to be a possibility. After all, the Joker likens himself to a dog chasing cars, not really knowing what he's doing, pinging from one experience to the next. Perhaps this is because he simply doesn't know who he is or where he's come from. Perhaps he's suffered a psychotic break so severe he has no idea of his real name anymore, and he is simply madness incarnate, trying on origins like a new suit, seeing which one fits him best. This theory fits the Joker character perfectly, that he is a man born of the cruelties of this world and nothing else. No no backstory, no history, just a madness of the here and the now. And number 1, he's the Fight Club narrator. Okay, this one's nuts, but it's fun, so why the f not? It's a theory that's been doing the rounds that the narrator, played by Edward Norton, that nameless character after the events of Fight Club, becomes the Joker. Now let's look at the evidence, he said with all the quotation marks in the world. There's the obvious psychosis. Both characters have bad relations with Dad, a disdain for money and big business, and a proclivity towards watching the world burn. They also both have an army of loyal and crazed followers. Perhaps, just perhaps, Project Mayhem decide to take their fight to the streets of Gotham. Also, the narrator shoots himself in the cheek at the end, causing massive scarring across his mouth. Coincidence? Probably, yes, but it's a fun theory, and like all the rest, it proves how powerful a character with no definite backstory can be, and why DC are playing with fire in trying to provide an actual answer. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and I'll see you soon.